Any other specific questions for the family or for me?
For the family, can you say when you learn the details of what happened and how that made
Does
you
anybody
feel?
want to address how your first contact was?
Not just that he died, but how he died, basically, and
I
what.
was mad. I had just came home from work, and I get a phone call saying that my son was dead, and I'm just like, what? I mean, this is just out the blue. My son is dead, and I mean, it's just like, I'm so mad. I'm hurt, and I'm disgusted, and I'm fed up, and I heard every day. I don't even know what's going on. I'm just all he gonna say. He didn't even address anything. Are you Darryl Becton's mom? But yes, your son is dead. That's all. That's what he said to me, and I'm hurt. I'm really hurt because it could have been addressed another way. Nobody was home at the time that I was in there, and I was just like, I'm a lost for words at this point. I really am. I'm just mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm mad. And oh God, I'm just mad. It is not fair. I done lost 3 people already in one, and the whole damn year ain't even went past. And I don't understand a lot of things, and I'm hurt. I'm about to lose my damn mind because I don't even know what's going on. Every day it's a. Man, I'm just sick.
No. Yeah, unfortunately, I've been doing these types of civil rights cases with jails for about 25 years, and I would have always expected that when you have a tragic circumstance like this, that the sheriff would sit the family down, tell them everything that they have learned in connection with that, to help to ease their mind and to tell them that the investigation would be followed. I can tell you categorically that does not occur in the Commonwealth. What happens is that the families are told nothing. Oftentimes they have to wait an appreciable period of time just to get the clothing and personal effects of the person. And then to file a lawsuit like this, we have to go through a FOIA process. We basically have to peel the information away from the sheriff and Corizon Health. And only now that we filed the lawsuit will we be able to get incident reports and other valuable pieces of information. But I will tell you that the statements that are in here, the time periods that we noted, and the response to your question was at 4:30 in the morning approximately, was when he started exhibiting very serious symptoms. He had a pulse of 191 over 102, which is an extreme systolic rate. That is, for a person that is hypertensive, is called a hypertensive emergency. One of our experts in connection with this matter, who is a emergency room doctor, said, Mark, when somebody's at 190, there's lots of things that are happening in the ER at that point. That was not happening in the jail, however. He was just being casually monitored by the nursing staff and outright ignored by the correctional staff. This did not have to occur. People don't die from these conditions. They're taken to medical care and they receive the medical care that they need. At one point in the complaint, we note, the horrific circumstances of diarrhea, vomiting, nausea, his high blood pressure and the like. This is a very, very noticeable condition that should have provided an immediate response. The other thing to note is that Mr. Becton at that time isn't at some far end of the facility. He is in the medical care center. In a circumstance like this, if the medical care facility, Horizon Health and the others, did not have the ability to deal with the situation, they had a very easy answer. There are fine medical facilities all around. He should have been put into an ambulance and immediately sent out. One of the inquiries we'll have in our lawsuit was, what are the motivations for not sending somebody out to a hospital to receive care? Why did he continue to stay there? Again, this is a tragedy that did not have to occur. Sometimes in connection with these cases, I've gotten a response from the public and also from the defendant sometimes that we did the very best we could. Oftentimes in cross-examination of these same individuals at trial, I had a case once where I had a doctor who was at a top-line private school, and he said, it was okay for what I did with this individual. But then I asked him the question, would you have done the same for the kids in your private school? And he had no response to that. That is essentially the problem here, is that we're treating the individuals, oftentimes young African American men, as second-class citizens. They're not getting the care that they deserve, and they continue to die. It's got to stop, and hopefully it stops right now.
In your experience trying these cases in the past, how would this compare? Is this fairly, in your mind, cut and dry? Like, is it fairly obvious that this, like, either negligence, like there was willful, wanton negligence over and over again?
In my opinion, it's a very strong case. The last count that we allege is a civil rights count, which alleges deliberate indifference. That means essentially that under the law, in layman's terms, it means I, correctional officer, see your circumstances and I don't care. It's not a circumstance that it's not registering with me, it's I do not care. What happens oftentimes in these types of cases is that they're disregarded. The individuals, oftentimes the defense in connection with these types of matters treats these as like second-class cases. We have shown by jury verdicts, including a $2.4 million verdict, that the lives of these individuals matter. This family cares deeply about this individual. You don't have to have a fancy shirt and tie to be an important person. You're an important person when you're meaningful to others and to God. We think we have a very strong case, and we're looking forward to litigating it and asking hard questions of both the medical care providers and the correctional facility.
What about further prosecution? Do you have any sense in these cases, how often does a lawsuit then lead to more criminal charges? Because there's a lot more information in your lawsuit than has ever come out.
Yeah, as you know, that there are criminal charges currently pending against one of the defendants in this case for falsifying the record. That's a huge deal. Other practitioners are going to look at the record to rely upon that for the care that they're going to provide. If you're falsifying the record, that's very troubling. The other thing is that there are a number of late entries. A late entry is a late entry is when you make an entry in the medical record late. However, sometimes that occurs because it needs to occur. You have a crisis going on, you're dealing with a circumstance, you don't have time to write it down. But we have late entries in here of like 3 and 5 hours late that there is no reason for the explanation. We're going to ask very hard questions about the legitimacy of those statements, and we think that some of them are quite dubious.